right, hey guys. I always think it's at least once a year we can take a look at the force rule. And tonight I was scrambling because I thought I'd have some time to dress this up. So while I'm talking, I am going to see what I've got here. All right, so you guys have seen the force rule that I put on the invite to this, and I remember reading this and thinking there's no way I am ever going to understand what's all going on here. And I came across a play that I coincidentally had a pregame discussion on, and as it turns out, the play caused me to say this rule is not as complicated as it looks if we just apply some logic to it. And that's probably like a lot of rules in the rule book. If we just use a situation, all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, well that makes sense. But when this stuff happens quick, a lot of times we'll wish that we were better prepared for the situation that we're about to see. So to break down real quick, the force rule in red there, the term is used only in connection with the goal line and only in one direction, and that is from the field play into the end zone. So it's really, I broke this down into how did the ball get into the end zone? It's that simple. Who caused it to get in the end zone, and what can be considered a new force or a new cause to get it in the end zone? So it speaks about that initial force. These are the things: carry, fumble, kick, pass, snap. Those are the things that can get that ball into the end zone, and we need to know the status of the ball when it entered the end zone. So let me go to the play that I was referring that has caused a lot of, oops, that one's not it. Yeah, this is the play that really caused a lot of the discussion. I'll take it back to the beginning. Hopefully it's not too choppy on your end. I'm not sure how good my internet is here. But in essence, we're going to see a punt blocked. I happen to be refereeing this game, which I don't do a lot of, especially back in the day. I happened to be where I needed to be, and that was on the goal line to rule this. And you can see a little confusion as I start processing this. And fortunately, Scott Lewis on this near sideline gives me a look like, yeah, I see what you see. We have a blocked kick into the end zone and an attempt by the team that blocked the punt to pick up the ball in what appears he may have caused that ball to go into the end zone. And so I started breaking down this rule to say, what is a new force? Did the kick get it into the end zone, or did that team with the white jersey, the visitor, did he cause it to go in the end zone? And there's a casebook item associated with this, and I'm going to cut to the conclusion of this unless we as officials have 100% knowledge that ball would not have made it to the end zone. And as you see this ball roll, it's rolling towards the end zone. So if they just let it happen, it would have rolled into the end zone as a kicked punt or a ball in kick status going into the end zone. And the reason I say that let me go back to the ruling here. I was hoping I'd have these actually in a sequence for you all. But back to the rule. Yep, it's this one. I want to get to the red that I put in here. That's where I could have got a little. All right, so we're going to go with this second article. The responsibility for the force of the ball from the field of play across the goal line is attributed to the person that carries, snaps, passes, fumbles, kicks the ball, unless a new force is applied. Now that new force is applied to a backward pass, kick, or fumble that has been grounded. So we cannot consider the blocked kick, so that the visiting team that blocked that punt, that is not considered a new force because the ball was not grounded. So the rule book specifically says it has to be a grounded ball for a new force to be applied. So in this case, we cannot consider the initial blocked punt anything. It means nothing in regards to this force rule. So now we've got to look at, now the ball is grounded. We saw the punt rolling on the ground, squirreling around close to the goal line. Now we as officials, getting the big bucks, have to decide whether that ball was going to go to the end zone without player 87 giving it a little nudge to get it into the end zone. So this ball, I think I ruled this incorrectly. I ruled this that player 87 right there caused the ball to do it in the end zone, and I believe we need to default unless there is an absolute obvious, and I would even go as far to say the ball almost needs to be rolling opposite of the goal line for a new force to be put on it. I suppose you could say if the ball was at rest, how often does the ball actually sit there when all this action's going on? I'd say virtually never. So the ball's probably moving. So unless the ball is moving away from that goal line, I think we have to assume it would have got into the end zone. I ruled this a touchback, that the team that blocked the punt caused the ball to go to the end zone. In hindsight, I believe that's an incorrect call, and this should have been a safety. So, and I've had some guys debate me and say, no, I think you got it right. I think we need to default to an absolute here. That should have been a safety, and you can only imagine the conversation I had to have with that team in white's head coach. The reason I wanted to talk force tonight was the introduction of this play. I received this from Chuck Hickey. He says, hey, I got another good force play for you. What we're watching is another punt play. And you can see the white hat signaling touchback. So in this case, the snapper snaps it to an up back, tosses it to the punter, punt gets blocked, and big number 75 actually recovers the blocked punt, carries it about 3 steps, and fumbles it into the end zone. Well, guess what that is? That is a new force. And now we've got a different answer to the story. I don't believe I had a new force in my game. This one is an obvious new force because we have big number 70, what did I say, 75, 74, picks it up, fumbles it into the in and out of the end zone. You can see his teammates look around and see the touchback signal. Oh, shit. We could have had a score right there. We could have even had a safety. But Tommy actually got that football, can't hang on to it because linemen never carry the football. They never practice that. Fumbles it in and out of the end zone. We have a touchback, so the kicking team will now take it to the 20-yard line and have a new series. So I think the distinct difference between this play and mine is this fact that we've got a ball carried across the goal line. I'm going to show you one more time because I really like the addition of this play to my arsenal on force. How did the ball get into the end zone? It was no longer in kick status when big 74 fumbled it across the goal line and out of the end zone. We got ourselves a touchback. I'll show you another one that's this one, block punt. I want this one. This one's a little more obvious. I don't think anybody would argue what happens here. We're going to have another punt blocked by number 75. He actually advances it about 30 yards or 10 yards, fumbles it in and out of the end zone. Pretty obvious. That's just like a running play. Like any runner that fumbled in and out of the end zone, this happens to be another lineman that should never carry the football because they just don't practice it and they make mistakes like fumbling it in and out of the end zone. Okay? Just another example of in and out of the end zone. All right, here's one that, let me go large on this. Another block punt. Looks like some scrambling of the football. In this case, It's irrelevant that the punter actually was touching the ball. The ball is still in a kick status. How did it get in the end zone? It was in kick status, regardless of the block at the line of scrimmage. In this case, there's no doubt that there's another force on that ball by the opponent. The tough part here is, where was the ball possessed? Did he possess it in the end zone, or did it actually get possessed outside the end line? A lot of tough duty there by the white hat. I think he probably got it right. We've got it recovered in the end zone. Somewhat irrelevant whether there was a new force put on the play. I hope this isn't choppy for you all. I know sometimes it can get that way. All right, my next one is, we're now going to move away from punts. So here we've got a tailback that takes the pitched ball, or I think it is, and fumbles it, or gets it dislodged. Yep, we got a toss play. We have a fumbled ball. How did that get into the end zone? Did R, or I'm B, I guess in this case, did B create a new force on the ball at about the 3-yard line when he tried to pick it up and take it into the end zone? I believe, this is just like I said in that very first clip, that if we have any doubt, if there's any doubt that that ball could have got there without that assistance of the B player, that is still in the status of the initial fumble, and it goes in and out of the end zone. That's a safety and not a touchback. The fumble caused that to go into the end zone, or we have to assume it caused it to go into the end zone, and then it happens to go to exit the end zone. I believe this needs to be also a safety, because the fumble is what created the situation that put the ball into the end zone. All right, let me see what else I have. All right, I've got one more. We're going to talk about a snap over the punter's head. I'm sorry, over the quarterback's head. So it's a shotgun formation. What the heck happened to my clip here? It looks like I just keep if this one's in here. Okay, now we got the snap going over the quarterback's head into the end zone. It's rolling around in the end zone. And what I like to talk about here is, does it matter what force was applied to this ball while it was in the end zone? And the answer is no. Once it's in the end zone, this force rule does not apply, because we start the rule off with, it applies to balls that go from the field of play into the end zone, and only that. So in this case, force is related to what happened right there, and there should be no doubt that it was the snap that put that into the end zone and not that defender. And so the initial force is what put it in the end zone, which was the snap. There was no additional force applied. What happens here in the end zone is they wrestle around for it, and it results in what this referee determines is it actually went out of the back of the end zone. So he's got possession outside the end zone, because if he's got A in possession, he's got a safety. If he's got B in possession, he should have a touchdown. So fast forward to his ruling on that end line, he's got that ball out of bounds beyond the end line. So therefore, how did it get in the end zone? The snap got it in the end zone. This has to be a safety or a touchdown, but he rules that it went out the back of the end zone. And that is all I was going to present on plays. I was going to go back to that ruling and see if we can use that to break down any more of these pieces. So we addressed the fact that the force is related to the Energy exerted by a player which provides movement on the ball, and the term is used only from the goal line into the end zone, and those are a carry, a fumble, a kick, pass, or a snap, as in the last clip. A new force may result from a bat, an illegal kick, or a muff. So those are ways to apply a new force. Article 2 says the responsibility of that force is how did it get across the goal line from those items that I just listed above, the fumble, kick, pass, snap. And it's who did it, unless that new force is applied, either applied to either a backward pass, kick, or fumble that has been grounded. So you cannot have a new force unless one of those items is after a grounded, or the ball was grounded. Article 3, the muffing or batting of the pass, kick, or fumble in flight is not considered a new force. So it's not grounded. That just emphasizes the previous article. It's saying it was not grounded. It's in flight. So that kick that's blocked is in flight. It's not considered a new force. So we ignore that. Same thing with a batted ball. A backwards batted ball that's in flight is not a new force. So you can imagine a screen pass, ball is batted towards the end zone. We would ignore that because the ball was not grounded. So backward pass batted by B into the end zone and out of the end zone would be a safety. Article 4 talks about when it is not a factor. And I was hoping, I ran out of time here, but I was hoping I could show some of our infamous punt plays where the kicked ball goes near the goal line and A touches the ball, or R touches the ball. Sorry, R touches the ball. The receiver touches the ball. There's a scramble near the goal line, and K forces it into the end zone and then falls on it, and we see referees go up with a touchdown signal, when in fact that ball, as soon as it crosses the goal line, is a touchback no matter how it got in there, unless it was fumbled by R. So I can walk through that again. The ball's kicked, R muffs it at the 5, it's running around at the 2, and K comes down and tries to pick it up and it falls into the end zone. That is always